Thanks so much for being on the show today, Bryan.
Great to be here, man.
Absolutely, man. So let's get into it. In digital marketing, a lot of people know you as Bryan Dulaney, the man who has the perfect funnel system down.
Right.
But before you became a digital marketer and known around the world for what you do, you started out sort of not in a position where business was something that you easily got or knowing marketing. Take us a little bit back to where you grew up, what your childhood was like, and how you got into marketing.
Yeah, so go back to Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. So I'm from a town called Morgantown, Pennsylvania, in the sticks. I mean, horse and buggies, cruising around. You know, typically of what you think about Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. But I grew up with a grandfather being an inventor. So he had invented a fishing contraption that then went on to be sold for millions of dollars. So I grew up with him, and then I grew up with my dad as an entrepreneur who owned his own company. And so I saw him, I was able to model my business experience. Really, it goes back to them.
What was the fishing contraption?
So I was really young. The lesson that I learned from my grandfather was actually a big lesson for me, which was to always get your agreements in place. Because he partnered with an attorney who ended up selling it from under him.
Wow, so he stole the idea from him.
So the attorney, he partnered with the attorney so that he had all the legal stuff taken care of, the patent taken care of, but then the attorney went and sold it behind his back.
Wow.
So for me, growing up, I realized like, okay, that's a lesson.
Right? Yeah.
I'm glad I'm able to learn on his shoulders, right?
And then your pops started
and my dad started, him and his brother started what was called DC Expo, which is supply chain technology. But what they did is they started the first trade show in that entire industry. And it's pretty cool. I mean, my dad is literally responsible for, there's companies that he helped bring together buyers and sellers in the industry, and they're billion-dollar companies.
Wow. So growing up, you always sort of saw these models, right? And it was something that you wanted to be right away? Was entrepreneurship something you wanted to be a part of, or were you kind of skeptical at first?
You know, I think my parents knew I was going to be an entrepreneur when I was probably 3. And it was about when I was 2 or 3 years of age. They found me on the floor. I'd unscrewed every crib out of my entire crib, and I was laying on the floor, and the whole thing was taken apart.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, I'm never going to be put in a box.
Wow.
Yeah.
So at what point do you start getting into entrepreneurship? I mean, as a kid, did you have a lemonade stand, anything like that?
You know what? I did. I sold some lemonade. We did sell lemonade.
You actually did have a lemonade stand.
We did sell lemonade. That was like typical, right?
Right, yeah.
But then in, was it 5th grade? I think it was in 5th grade, I sold Jolly Ranchers. The Jolly Rancher sticks. Remember those back in the day?
Which ones?
So there was the long sticks, and they came like the bigger ones.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I sold those for 25 cents a pop. I got my mom to fund the first box, and I paid her back. I'm like, I'll pay you back.
Yeah.
So I bought them for, I think they're like 15 cents a piece. I sold them for 25 cents a piece.
Nice.
So I was like doubling down pretty much.
And then that's how you sort of got your confidence built. How old were you at that time?
So, well, I was in 5th grade, whatever age that is.
And then what was the next entrepreneurial venture?
So I started selling so many Jolly Ranchers that the principal called me, and he's like, listen, this is not a for-profit institution. I'm like,
yeah.
Well, you guys have vending machines. Maybe you should think about selling Jolly Ranchers. I was like a wise ass, really.
In 5th grade?
5th grade.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just wise ass. And other people were selling pretzels. I'm like, well, no one wants pretzels. We want sugar.
We want candy, yeah.
So I took a year off, and then I started selling pencils, out of all things. So we used to do these things called pencil wars back in the day.
Yeah.
And so I took a year off, came back in, sold pencils, and so I'd sell pencils. They're special pencils called Pentec pencils.
How much were you selling them for?
They're like the strongest pencils. I don't know, I think 50 cents to $1.
And how much were you buying them for?
But I was buying them for a lot less than that.
Yeah.
And I was the first guy on the block, and then everyone was like, oh, he's making money selling pencils. So then I got some competitors coming in.
And then as you start selling this stuff,
pencils were easier to conceal.
Yes.
I mean, I had boxes and boxes of Jolly Ranchers to the point where my book bag was full of Jolly Ranchers. I was carrying them.
Yeah,
You know, that's how much people wanted Jolly Ranchers.
The supply and demand right there.
The demand was strong.
So then you start selling pencils, and then what are you doing with the profits at that age? Reinvesting it back
I just
into
kept
the business?
reinvesting it. Yeah. Because I would just keep doubling down. So if all the profit, then I'd buy 2 boxes, and then 4 boxes, and then 6 boxes.
Yeah. And that's something you picked up from seeing your family, sort of how they did things, or was it on your own that just drive was there?
It was really on my own. It was I don't remember it being anyone's idea but myself. Like, it was my own kind of idea. Like, I don't know what the drive was at that time, to be honest. Like, looking back, I'm not really sure what the driving force was. Like, it wasn't like trying to save up for like a bike or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Or a skateboard. But I don't know.
Just hungry.
Just hungry.
Yeah. And then what's the next foray as you get into high school or middle school? Any other entrepreneurial endeavors?
So then I started. Well, I was big into skateboarding and baseball, like through middle school, and then karate. I got my second degree black belt.
Me too.
And taekwondo.
Nice, yeah.
Later in high school, I ended up getting that.
Very cool.
Which was cool. There's a lot of lessons there.
Of course,
from that.
Absolutely.
But those are the primary endeavors that I started making my own.
But no entrepreneurship in middle school or high school?
Well, the pencils was in middle school.
Okay.
Because 5th grade, and then you go into middle school.
7th grade, yeah.
Other than that, I worked in my dad's company kind of under the table. You know, like 13 years of age, I was in there stuffing envelopes, working the machines. I remember the first day that Yahoo came online. First day.
Dang.
I remember that.
Did you guys invest in Yahoo?
You know, no, we didn't. I don't know why we did it. We weren't big in stock investing, although my dad did plow some funds into some different companies. Yahoo wasn't one of them. But what I do remember vividly back then was like all the domain names being available. I wish I had a little more foresight on that.
Yeah.
But I remember my dad was offered like 150 grand for one of his domain names for his main business. Like someone was like, hey, I'll pay 150 grand. My dad was like, yeah, hey, I'll do it. But his brother just decided not to, which I think was a silly decision because I'll take $8 for 150,000 all day long, right?
Yeah, fair
just
trade,
rebrand it.
Yeah, figure out a different URL.
Right.
Okay, so then you get into high school and then you're working for your pop's company. And then I know there was some point after high school where you start considering doing real estate, right? Going into real estate investing. Talk to me a little bit about, what your intention was there. I know having a job was not something you wanted, right? You wanted to be self-employed. Right. So talk to me a little bit about what it was like after high school and trying to figure out, am I going to go to college? What am I going to do with my life?
Well, I saw my dad. So my dad came from poverty and rose up to a place where we were very comfortable. We're probably, again, this is Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Right.
I mean, we're in the sticks here.
Right.
But we were well off. We traveled. We had more than enough. Like we were taken care of. We were blessed. So I think seeing that is like, okay, I see my dad. He works for himself, although he has a nice, he had a good size, decent amount of employees. And I really felt like that's when I instilled that entrepreneurship into me, like working for myself. I saw the flexibility he had, being able to travel, being able to take time off, being able to create his own schedule. So I saw that as a young, really young.
Yeah, so that sort of planted the seed in you.
That planted the seed.
Which is very interesting because we had Ed Milet on the show, and Ed said that, one of the most interesting things about either being middle class or coming from privilege is that a lot of times you don't have that drive or motivation because you're comfortable. Was there ever, a point where you felt that sort of comfort or not necessarily? That hunger was always there?
Not for me because of my near-death experience, which I'm sure we'll talk about soon.
So how old were you when that near-death experience happened?
That was 2003. Okay, so I graduated high school in 2002, and then 2003, it was my second year at Slippery Rock University is when that actually happened.
And you were studying marketing at the time, correct?
I was studying business. I was actually just studying business at the time. Like I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And I knew I had to take care of all my, electives and all that fun stuff. And so at that time, I was studying just general business.
Okay. So you graduate, go to college, and then talk to us about the famous story, the famous near-death experience that creates the pivot that leads to where you're at today. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I was, I was at Slippery Rock University, and I had pledged for a fraternity the second year, because I had a few buddies in it. One of the guys that I went to high school with, he was in the fraternity. I'd gone to a few of the fraternity parties the year before, and it was like the better fraternity of the bunch on campus.
Do you remember which one it was?
Athletic, Sig Tau Gamma.
Okay.
Yeah. So they were the most athletic, they were the smartest, they had, they were like, it wasn't the party group. But Big Brother Night came around. And you know Big Brother Night, right?
Yes.
So Big Brother Night came around, and here's all I remember. I remember going through that process, which was, emotional beatdown, and then it's like celebration. So it's all types of emotions.
Right.
I mean, by the time they turned the lights back on, like, I had like all my other pledge brothers were like, in tears.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
can you talk a little bit about some of the
hammered.
experiences that you're willing to share? From that?
Yeah. For me, I wasn't in tears. Like I didn't get taken down by that. I was able to like I went internal and didn't listen to what they said.
Gotcha.
'Cause I knew that that's not who I am.
Yeah, you sort of shelled up.
I shelled it. Yeah. So I was able to block. But the other guys were really like, they took it to heart, right? And I knew it was just part of the process.
Yeah. You're just trying to get in the door. Yeah.
Yeah.
no,
I'm
that
like,
makes
all right,
sense.
whatever. You know,
Yeah.
if I could punch you, I would right now.
Yeah.
You
That's funny.
But what happened was, they turned the lights on. Congratulations, you know, blah blah blah, and like, it's quite the shift in the energy of the room.
For sure.
It's very coming in. It was very dark. The music was very dark. Shoot, the lights were out, and then you have all these brothers, the older brothers, the brothers that are in the fraternity for a long time. You have them saying all types of negative things.
Yeah, breaking down your psyche.
Trying to get you to break down. It's very like militant, right? I feel that it's a very like militant style. And so they turn the lights on, we do the celebration, and they pull the bottles of alcohol out of the freezer, you know, at the house that we were at. So we go from there to another house, and I forget the game we were playing. We were playing some game, and they're like, "Hey, Dulaney, take these shots," and it was 5 shots. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I took the shots. I mean, it was like one after another.
5 shots.
5 shots, and that's pretty much all I remember. That's pretty much all I remember.
Yeah. Really?
Until I woke up the next day in the hospital.
No way.
Yeah.
So what did they tell you happened?
Hey, thanks for watching today's video. And if you love this video, be sure to leave a comment. Tell me your top 3 takeaways or top takeaway from today's video. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you can get notified every time that we upload a new video here on YouTube. And before you go, make sure you grab your free golden ticket. This free golden ticket is loaded with our 7-figure and our 8-figure expert agency and e-commerce funnels, emails, and scripts that we've used to build multi-million-dollar businesses in a variety of different markets. So thank you again for watching this video. Hope you got massive value from it, and I look forward to hearing what your takeaway was from this video. And also, I look forward to seeing you in the upcoming videos that we will be releasing.